What's special about white death that you think it must be elevated about everyone else's?
No, you see.
Why? Why do you exceptionalize white death so much? Above the death of thousands of people in this country. How many people must we condemn? How many murderers do you want us to condemn? Why must we condemn white people who are because white people are murdered?
On black people.
What's special about white people that we must condemn those? So why do you want us to condemn them? Why must we condemn specific murderers? Why do you want us to condemn specific murderers? On what basis? What
because
logic are
you
you using?
that they should be murdered.
You know, the lack of sophistication that we're dealing with here, because we've explained time and time again that kill the poor, kill the farmer is a chant against the system of oppression, a system of economic exclusion of black people at the benefit of whites, a system of...
So guys, welcome to the channel where United Africa is an undisputed Africa, WSXM. So anyway, listen to this interview and listen to it in its entirety. It's a little bit long, but it's worth watching. Where you see the EFF spokesperson was debating the opposition leader on live TV about the same revolutionary song, Kill the Boer, Kill the Farmer. They are still having an issue with this song. So listen to this debate and listen to the explanation from the EFF member and from the white opposition leader member. Listen to the stark difference in the way how they see South Africa. And I don't understand why is it. See, how did they claim that they are accusing black people of being racist in South Africa when they have never have the power it means to be racist? This blows my mind. Anyway, listen to this interview. Let me know what you think about this in the comment section. Boom.
Thank you very much indeed, gentlemen, for joining me. Sinao Tambo, EFF National Spokesperson, Kali Kriel, CEO of Afroforum. Good to have both of you in studio. It's important. We need to get to a better place as a nation. Kali, let me start with you first. Equality Court judgment. Let me go back to what it said, right? A reasonable listener would conclude that that song does not constitute hate speech, but rather it deserves to be protected under the rubric freedom of speech. So it begs the question, are you being unreasonable?
No, definitely not. This case is going to court again on the 4th of September to the Supreme Court of Appeal. We believe the judge was wrong. The judge also said, when we applied to appeal, said that another court might come to a different conclusion. And we believe we have quite a strong case because the judge can say the reasonable person won't do it, but only in the last week, after the EFF sung this hate song or hate chant, we saw 3 people being murdered, and they were literally murdered. We saw a person like Theo Becker, whose throat was slit. His wife was brutally assaulted. On the 2nd of August, the body of Karel Nel was found in BC's Vlei. Then on the 3rd of August, near Randfontein, we saw the brutal murder of Dwayne Smith. So people are literally being killed. And for someone now to say this is not literal, we don't buy that. This is dangerous. That is why we will fight to the bitter end against this. And if you say it's not literal, why did Julius Malema in court say that he will not give an undertaking, that he will not call for the large-scale slaughter of white people? He refused to do so. That is not a literal statement. That is a threat. And we will not sit by being threatened by thugs that don't want a future for everybody in this country. The majority of people want a future for their children. We extend a hand of friendship to all people. And we have agreements with cultural communities, we have joint agricultural programs, but the good news here is that 90% of the people in this country don't vote for the EFF. And we should unite, and we are doing so, against those that wants to destabilize our country.
Right. I just want to go a few steps back with regards to the people that were killed. What sort of evidence do you have that those deaths were directly linked to the singing of the song?
Well, of course, one will never have that evidence. What we have...
But then why put it in this context?
Because people are literally being killed. We have a culture of violence in the country. If you're going to the TRC, your expert mentioned what Thabo Mbeki said at the TRC. At the TRC, there was also a farm murderer that said he was inspired by Kill the Boer. If we look at a family near Welkom, a mother and daughter, when they were murdered, their own blood was used to write Kill the Boer on a wall in that house. So I think it's totally irresponsible. If you really want to look at the struggle and you want to fight the struggle, do that. But don't bring ethnic violence into this. It's simply unacceptable that somebody says you should kill somebody simply because of the ethnicity.
Right.
That is the biggest form of racism.
We never want to minimize death as now, but how do you respond to when Kali groups it with the singing of the song?
It's nonsensical. So first and foremost, it's extremely racist to presume that black people are of so low intellectual and emotional capacity that a song would incite them to go and kill people. It's racist. It's undermining of our people. That's the first thing. The second thing is that Afriforum and many racist and right-wing groups in South Africa and internationally want to exceptionalize the death of white people. So when a white person dies due to violence or crime, which is prevalent in South Africa, it must become an international crisis. From January to March this year, 6,200 people died in South Africa. Not even 0.5% of those people were murdered in farms or were murdered as a relation to farm murders. So why is this a debate? Why are we not focusing on crime as a central point in why people are being killed, even on farms? But because they exceptionalize themselves, because they have white self-entitlement, and because they think white life is over and above any life in South Africa, that even if one life is lost, there must be international uproar. That's why we're having this debate today. It's a sideshow that is trying to distract the EFF from its successful 10th anniversary celebrations. And if we wanted to do anything, we could have done it on that day. There were 100,000 people at FNB Stadium. We could have marched to the closest suburb and done what they think we want to do. We have no intention of killing white people. There's no policy in the EFF that says we're going to kill white people. This is a liberation song. We're going to defend it as well. And it's unfortunate that many liberation movements who are part and parcel of this culture are not at the forefront of defending it. But as an organization that has inherited this struggle from our forefathers, we're going to do it. But it's nonsensical and it's undermining of our people to think a song is going to make them go and kill people. He can't prove it himself. He said it now. There's no evidence that the people who were killed, the 3 people who were killed last week, were killed as a result of kill the boer, kill the farmer. Afriforum is involved in an elaborate fundraising initiative. They use Swat Khafar tactics. They want to alarm people, and they get this attention so that they can fund their trip to the bush to go and shoot at paper targets and drink brandy and coke. This is what they're doing, and that's all they're going to be doing moving forward.
Evidence is material, Kali, especially when you're dealing with a hot button issue like this, when you're trying to link the singing of a struggle song to the murder of people. And it goes back to people won't believe it unless you provide proof. South Africa is a violent country. People die on a daily basis. So how do you draw that link?
No, I think there's something like moral behavior. If you know people are offended, why would you do it? We don't offend people because we want to build the future where there's mutual recognition and respect. And the judge had it wrong. You don't have to prove the link. You can simply show that this hate has a detrimental and a negative effect on people. The fact is, to say this is racist, to be against this, I must truly say, I think the EFF are a number of people, as I've said, the minority, going around singing a chant to say people should be killed on the basis of their race. That is the most extreme form of racism. So they've lost all moral authority to come and tell us we are racist. There's only one racist in this room. And that is the person Sinawi sees in the morning when he looks at the mirror. And of course, I want to put on record that we are against all murders. You can go on our track record. Our safety structures work with all communities, with taxi associations. Advocate Gary Nel, 95% of the people he represents are black people that have lost their families, that have been left in a lurch by the criminal justice system. So we're the only organization that says we want to unite people, we are working with all cultural groups, and we will not offend people because we all have children. If you look at the vast majority of peaceful people in this country, and it's not a 10%, it's a 90%. We all want the future for our children, and we will continue to work that. We have to make a prosperous country, and we cannot allow radical groups that thinks it's a joke if they dance on a stage telling that we should be killed. We will fight this till the bitter end,
right.
And the communities will fight with us. If you look at what happened on the 20th of March, the communities in this country from all races took hands to say we will not let the EFF destabilize this country. And what we saw is that the EFF failed dismally. Their national shutdown was a national letdown. And they will fail again because we will work with all cultural communities to say We need to promote mutual recognition and respect, and we will take a firm stance. They should not see our view to say we want peace. They shouldn't see it as weakness. We will fight for peace, and we will do it with all communities in this country.
I wonder what's the way forward, Sinao, where both are drawing the line in the sand. You call what Kali is saying racist. He's responded with the same. What's the way forward?
Look, I don't think Afroforum has much standing in South African society, and it's laughable for them to think they have a moral authority to lecture us on racism. They are the ones who have been defending the apartheid flag and fighting for it to be sworn high in this country, a flag that has been representative of cruelty and human rights violations in this country since apartheid times. They are the ones who will defend this stem, a song that was sung at Flag Plus when our people were being tortured, who were fighting for the liberation of this country. So there's no moral authority that Afroforum has, but also there's no numerical authority they will ever have to undermine the growth of the EFF, to undermine the influence of the EFF in terms of the public debate in society. There's nothing they can do. So there's no way forward. We're going to chart with an aspirant Avia Buremach group that is interested in protecting the rights and the land that was stolen from African people and protecting a minority by stoking up non-existent genocidal calls. They are creating if you can ask him what genocide means now, he can't tell you. He can't give you statistical evidence that links the thing of kill the boer, kill the farmer to the murder of people. So there's no way forward we can chart with an organization that is using Swat Khafar to fundraise. That is what they are doing, and that's how they must be characterized.
To Sinao's point, Kali, even the judge sitting in the Equality Court said that Afroforum had failed to show that the lyrics in the song could reasonably be construed to demonstrate a clear intention to harm or incite to harm and to propagate hatred. Why couldn't you prove it back then, at that case? I mean, you are appealing, it's going to be heard, I think, in September. What new evidence do you have?
No, the judge made a huge mistake. With regard to hate speech, you don't have to prove that. If you look at the Kwelani case, he made negative remarks towards gay people. The Constitutional Court had to look, was there a correlation? Could he prove that gay people were harmed? And the court said it is not necessary. So now to play around to say, well, you can't prove it, so we're going to go on. People are literally being killed. And if they want to downplay it, there's such a thing as proportionality. To be a farmer today is twice as dangerous than being a police officer.
That's nonsense.
That is, of course, the
nonsense.
Truth. You're ill-informed in this
nonsense.
regard.
You know, they brought a book,
Listen,
a fake book. They brought a fake book.
Okay,
Yeah, this is not your farm.
You can
it's not going to happen.
Let's finish
nonsense.
and we'll come back to
It's pure nonsense.
Don't bring your family.
You can't say police
Go ahead.
are dying at a lesser rate than farmers.
Okay, let's conclude your point and then we'll come to you.
prove that. But we're also worried about murders on the Cape Flats. Our safety structures are involved there.
By the way.
Yeah. So for somebody to sit here playing the big man while people are being killed and our country's future is placed in jeopardy, we won't stand for that. So he can accuse us of everything, but we will go ahead to build a better future.
I think Afroforum are the most skilled people at manufacturing non-existent evidence. And one of the things that we must be able to highlight to the people of South Africa is that he tried to bring his friend Ernst Roots as an expert witness at the Equality Court. Ernst Roots was dismissed as the fast that he was with his book that they wrote after drinking brandy and coke. They were dismissed from that court because they thought that what they were doing, because they are white and because they think their opinion can change legislation, they think their opinion is fact. They went to a court with their opinions and they were dismissed and thrown out of that court. And now he's generating another false opinion that white farmers die at a higher rate than police officers who are fighting crime in this country. I mean, that is nonsensical. We challenge him to provide evidence of that because they manufacture evidence to justify this maniacal farce of that there's a genocide in South Africa of white people. This is what they do. They state lies in public record in order for people to panic because they want funding from international right-wing formations and institutions and individuals. This is what they are doing. They fundraise on the basis of lies. They fundraise on the basis of misinformation. And we must characterize them as such.
Kali, you mentioned something with regards to the technicalities of burden of proof, right? But in the court of public opinion, sometimes the threshold is different. In order to persuade somebody that something is wrong, you need to have some sort of evidence that kind of correlates what you're saying. In the absence of that, how are you going to convince people?
No, if you want to look what hate speech is, and maybe our the colleagues in the EFF should just go and look at the Constitution. You are not allowed to make a call for violence against people on the basis of race. That is what the Constitution says. It doesn't bring a burden of proof. And we're just saying, even if you look outside of the law, let's look at it morally. Is it justifiable morally? And maybe I shouldn't ask the EFF, because morals have never played a huge role in their organization. But morally, can you say, you chant something to say kill somebody on the basis of race while people are being killed? That is not the way we can build a future. And as I've said, fortunately, and we work on grassroots level. We have 168 community safety structures. And we work with all communities, from all cultural communities, to make our towns safer. And we don't pick up what we hear from the EFF. So we are fortunate that we know the majority of people don't do this, but it doesn't mean we should laugh it off. It is extremely dangerous, because only a few people can murder people. And we did not hear the EFF condemn the slitting of the throat of Bakker a day after they sang this. They did not condemn it. So for them now
Why? Why should we condemn it?
Because it's a person that's murdered.
6,200 people die in this country now, January to March. How many murderers must we condemn? Must we condemn all of them?
Okay.
What's special about white death that you think it must be elevated about everyone else's?
Now you see
Why? Why do you exceptionalize white death so much? Above the death of thousands of people in this country. How many people must we condemn? How many murderers do you want us to condemn? Why must we condemn white people who are because white people are
murders on black people.
What's special about white people that we must condemn those? So why do you want us to condemn them? Why must we condemn specific murderers? Why do you want us to condemn specific murderers? On what basis? What
because
logic are
you
you using?
that they should be murdered.
You know, the lack of sophistication that we're dealing with here, because we've explained time and time again that kill the poor, kill the farmer is a chant against the system of oppression, a system of economic exclusion of black people at the benefit of whites, a system of exclusion of black people from land, from mineral wealth, from the means of production. We've explained this. The court has accepted this logic. The court has stated this logic. Now, because courts are agreeing with the EFF's sound logic, suddenly they're not making sense. Suddenly they are wrong. Suddenly they are irrational. Suddenly we must mobilize international communities to stand against domestic courts of South Africa, because someone thinks that white death matters more than the death of black people in this country. And we must condemn murderers of whites, but all other murderers, it's by the way, the Cape Flats also we were worried.
I just want to ask.
This is racism.
Right. Racism. If this is simply a literal, it should not be taken literally. Would he give an undertaking that the EFF will not call for the slaughter of white people?
We'll never do that.
Okay, so then it's clear.
We won't take an instruction to take undertakings by you. We're not going to take any instruction to make any undertaking from a aspirant.
They did say, though, that it shouldn't be taken literally. But why can't we give the benefit of doubt to the South African public to say that they do understand that this has historical context? It is being sung now without the literal meaning or agitating the attack. Why can't we give South Africans the benefit of doubt?
No, we give the benefit of the doubt to the vast majority of black people in the country, because we know the vast majority of people are peaceful. But we are worried about those thugs that take this literally.
100,000 FNB Stadium thugs.
Yeah, well, we know after you failed on the 20th of March, they had to use liquor, threats for the public representatives, food and T-shirts to fill up the stadium. They had to try and save face after they failed dismally.
How many people have died?
They were defeated on the 20th.
How can you prove it? Prove it. Prove how many people have died because of the challenge.
Let's take it.
I can prove that you're not willing to say you will not kill white people.
I'm not going to take any instruction from you to take any undertaking.
Maybe it's we're playing with regards to semantics, right? Maybe it's the heat of the moment and somebody doesn't want to admit something on this platform. But the general understanding is that no harm should be should come to another person, right? And I think that is understood now,
Absolutely.
right? So why can't we meet in the center here? Is it all about just the public bluster? Is that what we're dealing with?
They want money. They need money. They have no interest in meeting in the middle. They need the narrative of genocide to rise so they can fundraise to go to the bushes and shoot at paper targets. This is what they need. Afriforum survives on creating a false narrative of genocide and farm murders in South Africa as if they are at an exponential rate above general crime in South Africa. They exceptionalize themselves because they think white lives matter more than black lives. They need money. They fundraise about stoking Swart Gefat. They've done this in 1994. When Mandela became president, they said there's going to be a genocide. It didn't happen. When Mandela died, they said there's going to be a genocide. It didn't happen. Now we're going into one of the most landmark elections in 2024, and the EFF has scared them with FNB Stadium. Now they must stoke another genocidal cry because they need money.
I go to my digital audience.
He's just ill-informed. Afriforum didn't exist in 1994. We were only founded in
Afriforum,
2007.
Same thing.
Okay,
same thing.
But can I just
last point to you, and then we go to digital audience.
Say one thing to what he said. He said we don't want to meet the middle ground. We had, in the first case when this happened, we decided and went into a mediation process with Julius Malema and the ANC to solve this problem, with Julius Malema sitting there. And in the end, it was agreed that the ANC and Julius Malema will ask their supporters not to sing it. So you have a man now that says he spoke and we agreed on that, and he just turned his back on that.
We're not the ANC.
So we cannot.
You made an agreement with the ANC. Where do you
with Julius
include us?
Malema, his name was involved.
He's not the ANC.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go to the ANC if you want to have those agreements.
Let's pause it there. Let's get in another perspective.
So there you have it, guys. The end of this interview. Let me know what you think about it. Do you agree with the EFF member that this is a struggle song and we have multiple chances to cause havoc or to do what the oppressive apartheid government did to blacks? We have that we refrain from doing the same thing. So let me know what you think about this. If you agree with this, the white South African or the black South African. It's that simple. It's either you're on the one side or you're on the next. You can't have it both ways. So anyway, let me know what you think about this. Boom.